up, guys? So, we are just a few days away from finding out our full list of Oscar nominations for 2023, so it's time for me to give you my final predictions on who I think the nominees are going to be in all the categories this year. The Oscar nominations are announced on Tuesday, the 24th of January, and I will be doing a live stream reactions vid as it's happening, so if you want to watch that, be sure to click subscribe and turn the little bell on if you want to get notified when it happens. But yeah, let's just dive right into it, shall we? There's a lot to discuss. But do get involved in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your takes and opinions on who you think is going to get nominated or snubbed. Okay, so first up we have Best Actress, and this is how I'm feeling about Best Actress as of now. And I do think this is still a two-way race between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh. It's gonna come down to the wire on Oscars night. It's their race, but the other three slots is where people have differing opinions. Viola Davis has actually secured every precursor nomination that she needs. Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, SAG, and BAFTA. So I was never set, this would be a performance they wouldn't go for because, she's the lead in like an epic action movie. But no, she's got enough precursor noms to make me feel confident that Viola Davis is getting in for the Woman King. So she's currently who I have at number 3. I feel pretty confident about Daniel Deadwyler getting in for Till. The only place that she missed was the Golden Globes. And yes, I don't see Till getting any other nominations, but I think the strength of Daniel Deadwyler's performance in Till speaks for itself, and she will be getting her first ever Oscar nomination. My personal choice for who I want to see get the 5th spot is actually Margot Robbie for Babylon. But I'm not sold on it happening for Margot Robbie this year. She's been a bit hit or miss this season. She got the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globe, but she missed at BAFTA and SAG. The lack of a SAG nomination is worrying because even actors didn't give her the nom. However, Babylon is likely to get nominations for score, production design, costumes, maybe hair and makeup, and sounds, and it has won some Golden Globes and Critics' Choice Awards, so it's not out of the question that Margot Robbie could come along as part of that nominations package, and she does tick a lot of boxes that the Academy usually goes for with a Best Actress performance. It's a very big and loud performance. She's doing a lot of yelling, crying, she's very emotional, and it's a very physical performance as well. She's also in a movie which is a little bit more accessible than, say, Ana de Armas for Blonde. However, Ana de Armas is doing great. She got the Golden Globe, the BAFTA, and the SAG, so she, by default, gets my 5th spot. Plus, Ana de Armas probably has more international support than, say, Margot Robbie. Plus, she's playing Marilyn freaking Monroe, okay? It's a performance that screams Academy. It's why I had Ana de Armas in my very, very early Oscar predictions videos. I took her out, but now I feel more confident about her actually getting the nomination. So, do they go with the performance of a fictional movie star like Nellie Leroy, played by Margot Robbie, in the movie which is more likely to secure other Oscar nominations? Or do they go with the other movie star performance of a real-life cinematic icon, Marilyn Monroe, aka Ana de Armas, for a movie which is a bit more polarizing? Well, having said that, Babylon still is pretty polarizing. I'm honestly not sure. It is a bit of a toss-up. I honestly do prefer Margot Robbie's performance in Babylon, but on the other side, I really would like to see Ana de Armas get her first ever Oscar nomination as well. I can really see the Academy going for Ana de Armas, kind of in the same vein of how Kristen Stewart finally got the nomination for Spencer last year, even though she wasn't really placing anywhere. But yeah, Ana de Armas has actually done really well this award season, so she's more of an assured bet than Margot Robbie. But there also is the argument that maybe both Margot Robbie and Ana de Armas get in and they bump someone off like Daniel Deadwyler or Viola Davis maybe. Regardless, there is going to be at least one performance that misses in this category, which is gonna make people mad, so prepare for film Twitter to be furious about something in the Best Actress category. This is why we need 6 slots in the acting categories at the Oscars like we do at the BAFTAs. As for Michelle Williams, she could still show up here. I would rather she showed up in supporting, but the fact that she was snubbed at both SAG and BAFTA illustrates that her campaign really is in flux, and the ambiguity of her performance is making it difficult for voters to know where to place her. But she's Michelle Williams. She's got 4 previous Oscar nominations and she's beloved, so it could happen. Don't know if I should be saying this, but I would much rather see someone like Daniel Deadwyler or Ana de Armas get their first nomination rather than see Michelle Williams get her 5th for a role where there's some discrepancy about her legitimacy as a leading actress. But that's just me. Who knows, maybe she will show up in supporting, but if she's snubbed altogether, then this will definitely go down as one of the most bungled Oscar campaigns ever. And there's still some chance for someone unexpected to show up here. Like, could Olivia Colman get a nomination for Empire of Light just because she's Olivia Colman, you know, the Academy's darling? This would be her 4th nomination in just 5 years. I don't think it's gonna happen because she didn't even make the long list at BAFTA, but it's certainly not an impossibility. As for Naomi Ackie, I haven't seen I Want to Dance with Somebody yet, but she didn't get in at BAFTA, and that was probably her best chance to get in somewhere. But she has kind of followed the recipe you need in order to get a nomination at the Oscars. Like, she was in a safe, formulaic biopic about a legendary entertainment figure, Whitney Houston, and it was written by Anthony McCartan, who's gotten so many men nominations and wins for those types of movies. We're getting nominations for people playing Elvis and probably Marilyn Monroe. Are we gonna see one for Whitney Houston? I doubt it. This feels like Jennifer Hudson in Respect last year. As for the most recent bit of discourse surrounding Best Actress, I've seen a lot of discussion and chatter on film Twitter about celebrities, mainly actors, vocally coming forward saying that they're going to champion Andrea Riseborough for a Best Actress nomination for To Leslie. I haven't seen To Leslie. In fact, I haven't even heard of it until I saw all this chatter and discourse on Twitter. But what do I think of Andrea Riseborough's chances of getting into Best Actress? Slim to none. I think all this discussion is just a bunch of hot air. Andrea Riseborough has literally not placed anywhere, not a single precursor, and she's funded this campaign herself, apparently. I would be genuinely shocked if she actually made it in. I think people think it's happening, and then nothing's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna go one of two ways, this. Either Andrea Riseborough is gonna get nominated, and we're all gonna be so shocked that it becomes a major talking point in future Oscar prediction videos for years to come, or she doesn't get nominated and we all immediately forget the hubbub that she had 5 minutes of like fiery buzz on Twitter that she was going to get a nomination. And I honestly think it's going to be the latter, not the former, but I guess we shall see. Best Actor. All right, so we've got 4 that I feel very secure in. It was 3. The big 3 were Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, and Brendan Fraser. But now I'm very confident that Bill Nye is the 4th slot because he has secured every precursor nomination that he needs to get in here. And I'm very happy for him. It's very much deserved. Sony Pictures Classics have had a very good campaign for him, and he's done very well. There's nothing to suggest that he's not going to get in for his performance in Living. But while he is pretty much guaranteed a slot for Best Actor, he's not really in the race to win. Like, we all know this is a 3-way race between Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, and Brendan Fraser. Both Colin Farrell and Austin Butler have won a Golden Globe, and Brendan Fraser has the Critics' Choice Award, so whoever goes on to win the SAG or the BAFTA will be our legit frontrunner. And I think it is going to be Brendan Fraser still. He's got the comeback narrative, he's got the really emotional, big performance. He's also the right age as well. But it's the 5th spot, which is the hardest to call for Best Actor. I think it's gonna come down to either Tom Cruise or Paul Mescal. And I really, really want this to be Paul Mescal for 2 reasons. One is I want to see a Best Actor category where literally every single nominee is a first-time acting nominee. And secondly, I just freaking love Paul Mescal's performance in Aftersun. It's not a showy performance, it's a very internalized and subtextual performance, but the Academy doesn't often nominate those types of performances. They much prefer what they can see on the surface rather than what's lying underneath, and this is very much, you know, a subtextual performance from Paul Mescal. But therein lies the power of Paul Mescal's performance. He's conveying so much without really showing it on the surface. I really hope it is Paul Mescal, and the reason I put him at my 5th is because I think he will have more reach with international voters for the Oscars. But there is a strong possibility that Tom Cruise could surprise here with a Best Actor nomination because people really love Top Gun Maverick, okay? The Academy loves this movie, and there's a very real outcome where they might want to honor Tom Cruise for not only his performance in Top Gun Maverick, which is, you know, very classic movie star, charismatic, you know, but, you know, as a pat on the back for creating one of the biggest, most exciting movies of the year, which really brought people back to the cinema. Like, he's played a big part in, like, helping save the medium of cinema after the pandemic. So the Academy might be like, you know what, Tom Cruise, you'll get the producing nomination, yeah, for Best Picture, but we're gonna give you a Best Actor nomination as well, if they're feeling overly generous. So there is a chance Tom Cruise could show up here, you know, getting his first nomination in like over 20 years. So yeah, if it does happen, I will be surprised and I'll be happy for him, but I would rather see Paul Mescal get the nomination. But as you can see, Best Actor is looking to be like the least diverse of the acting categories this year. I've predicted all 5 white men, so could we see maybe someone else getting like Diego Carver or Jeremy Pope? It's not out of the realms of possibility, but they just really haven't been placing in enough places for me to think, oh yeah, they're gonna get in. If Diego Carver managed to get a Best Actor nomination for Babylon and Margot Robbie missed, I would find that very weird because Margot Robbie has substantially more to do in Babylon, and if she missed and Diego Carver got in, I just find that a little odd. As for Jeremy Pope, he did get the Golden Globe nomination, but it seems like A24 are really invested in the campaign for Brendan Fraser, so it's unlikely he's gonna show up here, but I thought he would early on because it is such a box-checking, Academy bait type role, but just sadly doesn't seem to be his time. Hugh Jackman in The Sun is dead. Sorry about it. It's not happening for Hugh Jackman this year. Adam Driver at this point would be really shocking. As for Adam Sandler's SAG nomination, I don't think that's going to translate into an Oscar nomination. I think that was just a SAG thing. But part of me thinks it would be really cool to see Adam Sandler surprise here, but I haven't seen Hustle, so I don't really know if the quality of the performance is enough for him to get in. But if he does show up, I will find it very delightful. But I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna predict Paul Mescal, not just because I really want him to get the nomination, but he did get the BAFTA nom for Best Actor as well, which I think gives him a slight edge over Tom Cruise, and I think he will have more reach internationally than Tom Cruise will. But yeah, sort of a no guts, no glory prediction, but fingers crossed it happens. But also a fun fact to end this category on, if we do end up with a category where all 5 nominees are first-time nominees, then this will be the first time since 1935, that's the 7th ever Academy Awards, where the entire selection of nominees for Best Actor is made up of first-time nominees. But even back then, there was only 3 nominees for Best Actor that year. Clark Gable, Frank Morgan, and William Powell. But yeah, just think how crazy it will be to have all first-time nominees in Best Actor. I'm really hoping to see it. Because no matter what, somebody from that category is gonna win an Oscar for the first ever nomination. Best Supporting Actress. This category got real interesting. Arguably, this is the most exciting of the 4 acting categories. My final 5 looks completely different to the 5 I had in my last Oscar prediction video. Now that we've got the precursor nominations and some winners, it finally feels like this particular race is starting to take shape. I'm happy with my 5, but I am still expecting some chaos. It's funny, a few months ago I was feeling dead certain that we were gonna see like 2 performances from women talking make it into this category, and now if we even get 1 performance from women talking, that would be constituted as a surprise at this point. Because Women Talking has bombed this awards season. 0, that's right, 0 BAFTA nominations and only 1 acting nomination for anybody across all the precursors. That was Jessie Buckley for the Critics' Choice. But part of me is wondering, because of the lack of inclusion of Women Talking and all the discourse it's created on social media, could we maybe see a acting performance from Women Talking surprise here now? I genuinely think it could happen. I think the Academy might feel sympathetic towards Women Talking now and like throw someone a bone, either Jessie Buckley or Claire Foy. Personally, I'd rather see Claire Foy. It's the performance I liked more, and I'd like to see her get her first nomination over Jessie Buckley getting her second, but yeah, Jessie Buckley getting a second would make more sense because she does have the 1 precursor nom. But yes, are we gonna see a nomination for a performance from Women Talking at the Oscars? I will say now, Angela Bassett is happening. In my last predictions video, I didn't even have her in my alternates, but since then, she has been sweeping the precursors. Won the Critics' Choice, won the Golden Globe, she's probably gonna win the SAG, and if she does manage to win at BAFTA, then it's over, okay? They've just jumped on board the Angela Bassett Express, wanting to honor her, you know, for an amazing career and an incredible performance as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This is why I love predicting the Oscars, because it really is a race. Like, it's amazing how much can change in just the space of a few weeks. And I honestly just didn't think it would happen for Angela Bassett. Not because she's not deserving, she's wonderful in Wakanda Forever, but I guess I had my own prejudices about the Academy giving a nomination and a win to Angela Bassett for a performance in an MCU movie, a comic book movie, a superhero movie. But She gives a Oscar caliber performance in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Okay, there's no denying it. And we can see by the fact that she's gotten every precursor that everyone agrees. So yes, Angela Bassett definitely can win this. If she wins the BAFTA, then yes, she will be at the top of my predictions. But I'm still sticking with Kerry Condon for now. If Kerry Condon does win the BAFTA, and I think there's a strong chance she will, then it really is going to be a two-way race for the last prize, which is the Oscar. And it really could go either way. Like, they could give it to Angela Bassett, not only for staggeringly good performance in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, but also to celebrate the fact that she's never won an Oscar previously. Or they could go with Kerry Condon. I'm not going to say she's a newcomer, but she's, you know, not as experienced as Angela Bassett, let's say. She's not got as much name recognition as Angela Bassett yet, but she is in a top 3 Best Picture contender. And we have seen in previous Oscars that they typically do give Best Supporting Actress to, you know, a female performance from a Best Picture contender. And is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever going to be a Best Picture contender? I don't think it is, but Banshees definitely is. So maybe they're going to go with Kerry Condon. Whoever wins the BAFTA will play a big part in my prediction for who I think is going to win the Oscar. But how cool would it be to have our first ever performance from an MCU movie win an Oscar, and for it to be Angela Bassett as well, who's only ever been nominated for 1 Oscar almost 30 years ago for playing Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do With It in 1994. Yeah, when it comes to personal preferences, I do think I preferred Kerry Condon's performance more, but if Angela Bassett does go all the way and wins it, I will not be upset. I will be so happy for her. So yeah, I really do think the race is going to come down to those two. With the last 3 slots though, this could go anywhere. I was starting to get very nervous for Hong Chow. She missed the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice, but she secured the SAG and she got the BAFTA nomination as well. So I'm in a much better place now of putting her in my 5, and I'm happy for that. I really want Hong Chow to be in here. I don't think she's 100% guaranteed, but yeah, I really want to see her in there, and that's why I put her in my 5. As for the Everything Everywhere supporting girls, Jamie Lee Curtis being the film's biggest cheerleader has certainly paid off because she has secured every precursor nomination that she has to. So it looks like Jamie Lee Curtis is going to get her first ever Oscar nomination for this. So yeah, she's got all the precursor noms, but part of me is still worried that Jamie Lee Curtis could miss at the Oscars. At Oscar Film FC asks me, there's usually someone who hits all the precursors and then misses Oscar morning each year, like Gaga last year, and someone who surprises with very little to no precursor nominations, like Dench and Cruz last year. Who do you think that could be for both? Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. I'm gonna have to say that I feel the most nervous for Jamie Lee Curtis because she has secured all the precursor nominations, but part of me is worried that she could just miss the Oscars just because. Like, it's not really the type of role that the Academy always goes for, but while she does have like the career narrative and the overdue for recognition narrative, part of me is just nervous that it'll be Jamie Lee Curtis that misses because some highbrow voters just won't think it's, you know, the right type of performance for an Academy Award nomination. So yeah, she's who I'm worried could be the one that gets all the precursor noms but misses at the Oscars. As for someone who's had very little to no precursor nominations, I would say Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick if he shows up. As for Stephanie Hsu, her SAG nomination was wonderful, but her BAFTA longlist snub was really frustrating. I would love to see a double supporting nomination for the Everything Everywhere girls, Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu, but part of me thinks that was just a SAG thing. I would rather see Stephanie Hsu get the nomination than Jamie Lee Curtis because I thought her performance was more impactful and more deserving. But, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis does have the overdue for recognition narrative, never been nominated and had this amazing career. So I can see like one of them getting the nomination and I can see both of them getting nomination, but I honestly don't know if it is just one of them, which one they're gonna go for. The statistics imply that it's gonna be Jamie Lee Curtis because she's gotten all the precursor nominations. The fact that Stephanie Hsu didn't get on the BAFTA long list is worrisome because, you know, the BAFTAs do have a fair bit of overlap with voter membership. What do you guys think? Is it going to be one or the other or both? Let me know in the comment section down below. As for Carey Mulligan, while I love the performance, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I really hope she does miss at the Oscars because it is just category fraud. But she definitely could still show up here because she got the Golden Globe nom and she got in at BAFTA, but maybe that was just home turf advantage with the BAFTA. but yeah, I can still see her getting in here. At Cinema My Poetry asks me, let's say Michelle Williams gets into supporting actress. Whose spot does she eventually take, and what are her chances to actually win? Love your channel, by the way. Oh, thank you. I love you too for your support. If Williams were to flip-flop back into supporting actress, I would really hope she takes the spot of Carey Mulligan, because of the same reason why I don't want Michelle Williams in Best Lead Actress, is because Carey Mulligan is being campaigned in the wrong category. So yeah, if Michelle Williams does show up in Supporting Actress, I'll be okay with that, because I think it is a supporting performance. I just hope she bumps someone off like Carey Mulligan over, say, Hong Chow or Kerry Condon or Angela Bassett or Stephanie Hsu or Jamie Lee Curtis, but there's a chance she could bump one of the Everything Everywhere girls out. And because Stephanie Hsu wasn't even on the BAFTA long list for supporting actress, Michelle Williams could bump Stephanie Hsu off, which would really bother me, but I think film Twitter would be more furious. If I'm being honest, this category feels like the most unpredictable of the acting categories this year. Kind of like last year, actually. Ruth Negga was securing loads of precursor nominations, didn't get in for Passing. Jessie Buckley managed to get in, riding off the coattails of Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter. And Judi Dench surprised everybody when she got the nomination for Belfast over Katrina Balfe, who was getting all the precursor nominations. The only person I feel 100% confident is getting the nomination is Kerry Condon, which is why she's still my #1 pick, because there's not a drop of doubt in me thinking that she's going to miss here. Whereas I can see an outcome where Angela Bassett is shockingly snubbed for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, just because it's an MCU movie and there's some Academy bias at play, and some people might not think it's, worthy enough. And some voters might think that, oh, I don't want to give a nomination to a performance in a superhero movie. But Angela Bassett's wins at both the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice heavily imply that she is going to make it in. The Everything Everywhere girls don't feel like a dead cert to me either. I can see at least one of them getting nominated, but I don't know which, and I can also see both of them getting nominated. Hong Chow has definitely been gaining steam the past few weeks with the BAFTA and SAG nomination, and also the fact that The Whale got a Producers Guild Award nomination is a good sign for her. And I think she will sort of like coattail off Brendan Fraser's performance. Again, it's not a lock, but I think she will get in because of that. But then again, I could also say the same thing about someone like Nina Hoss for Tar, riding the coattails of Cate Blanchett. She's not really been placing anywhere, but it's definitely not impossible. I kind of see her in a similar situation to Marina de Tavira for, riding the coattails of Yalitza Aparicio for Roma. Maybe she could do it with Cate Blanchett for Tar. I would love to see Dolly DeLeon make it in for Triangle of Sadness, and Triangle of Sadness did pretty well at the BAFTAs, so there is a chance she could surprise here. Women Talking is almost dead, but not quite, because it did get a SAG Ensemble nomination. However, there were no individual SAG nominations, but sympathy for everything that's gone on with Women Talking could result in an acting nomination for maybe Claire Foy or Jessie Buckley. But again, it's very likely that they could just split votes and neither one of them gets enough to get in. And Janelle Monáe would be a wonderful addition, but her success this awards season has been 50-50. So yeah, I'm at peace with my 5, but I'm not 100% confident. Best Supporting Actor. I mean, this is a really easy category to predict the winner, okay? It is gonna be Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere. Like, he's been sweeping all the precursors, okay? It's gonna happen. Like, it is a leading man's performance in a supporting role, okay? He has the comeback narrative, he's got the performance, he's got the precursor wins, okay? It's gonna be Ke Huy Quan. As for the other slots, Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan have landed all the precursor nominations, so yes, I do think both the Banshee boys are gonna show up here. I actually feel more confident about both the supporting performances from Banshees getting into supporting actor than I am the two female supporting performances from Everything Everywhere getting into Best Supporting Actress. But yes, I feel very confident that both the boys from Banshees are getting into Supporting Actor. But the last 2 slots are probably going to go to either Brad Pitt, Judd Hirsch, Paul Dano, Eddie Redmayne, Ben Whishaw, Woody Harrelson, or Brian Tyree Henry. I actually think I'm going to go with Brad Pitt for Babylon, even though he did miss at SAG and BAFTA. I do have a feeling he'll get in at Oscars, just because there's been a lot of noticeable public fawning over Brad Pitt this award season. Lots of celebrities talking about them on the red carpet or even mentioning him in their speech, saying how awesome and how loved he is. Like, even though there's all these allegations surrounding him and his ex-wife, Angelina Jolie, it doesn't really seem to be doing much damage to his reputation. Like, there's still so much visible love for him. And also, his performance in Babylon is phenomenal. It's really memorable. I actually think I prefer his performance in Babylon than the one he won his Oscar for in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But that's just me. But yeah, I think he's still got enough love and support to get in here. So yeah, I'm gonna predict Brad Pitt to make it in at the Oscars. As for the 5th spot, I would love to be brave here and give the 5th spot to Brian Tyree Henry. Like, he's who I personally want to see get the 5th spot for his very tender, very, subtextual performance in Causeway. I don't have the stones to do it. I think it's a waste of a nomination because he just hasn't placed anywhere else. So I think it's probably more likely to go to one of the Fabelmans boys. Paul Dano did get the supporting actor nom at SAG, which would make you think it would be him. But part of me just thinks when they want to go for Judd Hirsch, even if he only had like 8 to 10 minutes of screen time, he just left such an impact in that film. It just feels like more of a performance that people would gravitate towards, even though Paul Dano has way more screen time. It's hard, yeah. I personally would prefer to see Judd Hirsch, but I guess Paul Dano has a slight edge. But yeah, kind of like supporting actors, I am expecting to see a little bit of chaos here. Like last year when we had J.K. Simmons show up for Being the Ricardos, that was certainly unexpected. So maybe we could see someone like Woody Harrelson get in for Triangle of Sadness. There is a strong possibility that Eddie Redmayne could get the nomination for The Good Nurse because he does have the SAG and BAFTA nominations and he has been campaigning his ass off. So yeah, I can see why a lot of people would put him in their predictions, but for me, I'm not as confident on it. Like, it makes sense why getting at BAFTA, home turf, and SAG, I just think that was a SAG thing, I can see the Academy going for something a little bit more visible than The Good Nurse. Like, I think they would probably go more with something like The Fabelmans, so one of the Fabelmans boys than Eddie Redmayne. But yeah, those are my 5. Best Original Screenplay. I feel pretty confident about this category, and I've actually gone for the 5 that we got at BAFTA. Everything Everywhere, Banshees, Tar, and The Fabelmans, they're all getting in, period. It's the last slot which is really up for grabs, and it's gonna come down to 3 movies, either After Sun, Decision to Leave, or Triangle of Sadness, and I've gone with Triangle of Sadness because Triangle did pretty well at BAFTA, so I'm expecting the love that it received at BAFTA to sort of translate at the Oscars, and I think, yeah, Triangle of Sadness is gonna get it. However, it would be nice to see After Sun get in here, because then at least we'd have one female performance in the Best Original Screenplay category this year. But yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be Triangle of Sadness. As for Best Adapted Screenplay, this one is a little bit more complicated. I don't think it's gonna be 5 for 5 this year, because BAFTA snubbed both Women Talking and Glass Onion, which was quite shocking. I'm just gonna say this, Women Talking deserves to win this category. I'm not even the biggest fan of Women Talking the movie, but Sarah Polley deserves the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. But Women Talking didn't even get nominated at BAFTA, which makes me think it's very unlikely it's gonna win, and it could even be snubbed at the Oscars. However, I still think it is gonna get in at the Oscars. I think they'll be more sympathetic to Women Talking here. I think the Academy are more likely to give Women Talking the nomination over A Quiet Girl, which the BAFTA gave it to. If there were any justice in the world, Bones and All would be getting a nomination here, but it's not gonna happen. If it does happen, I will freak out. But yeah, because of BAFTA's love for All Quiet on the Western Front getting 14 nominations, I feel very confident now that All Quiet on the Western Front is gonna get in here at the Oscars too. As for the last spot, it's kind of a toss-up, I think, between She Said and Living. I actually think Living has a pretty good chance of winning the BAFTA, but I'm not so sure it'll place in the Oscars. I mean, it could, but I don't know, I just feel like She Said is the more pressing, hot topic issue movie. It's about Harvey Weinstein, and it is well written in a similar vein to like Spotlight, and I can see the Academy wanting to, acknowledge it somewhere. So I think She Said probably would have a better chance getting in than Living, but maybe they both will get in and push something else out. But yeah, I'm gonna go with She Said getting in and Living not getting in here. But yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll get something crazy like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio or Top Gun Maverick showing up here. Costume design, a bit of a change up here. In my last prediction video, I had Catherine Martin winning this for Elvis, but now I've switched to Ruthie Carter for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is actually interesting because Ruthie Carter didn't get the nomination at BAFTA for costume design. But I still have a winning here, like she was one Critics' Choice, so yeah, I feel pretty confident she's a front runner at the moment, but we shall see. So yeah, Elvis and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever are definitely in. Babylon and The Woman King are most likely. Weirdly, I feel like Jenny Egan has a pretty good chance of getting in here for Glass Onion, but we could see something like Women Talking, or Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Even Don't Worry Darling could surprise here. Production design. It looks like we're starting to see a winner emerge from this race, and that's Florencia Martin and Anthony Carlino for Babylon, which makes sense. It follows the trend of movies based around movies like Mank or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As for the other slots, I've gone with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and Avatar: The Way of Water. I've also gone with All Quiet on the Western Front because of the BAFTAs, but also because it's kind of that big scale production design with all the dugout trenches. I would love to see a repeat of the BAFTAs and see Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio get in for production design. Like, I don't think we've ever had an animated film get in for production design, so I would love to see some history here. But again, part of me thinks, was that just a fluke at the BAFTAs? I haven't got it in my 5, but I really do hope it gets in. Cinematography. This category is a toughie. It has been all over the place this year. This might actually be the hardest category to call this year. There's usually a bit of overlap here with Best Picture nominees. Usually it's about 4 out of 5, and you get one, out there nomination for cinematography, like The Tragedy of Macbeth, or News of the World, or The Lighthouse, or Never Look Away. But there are a few movies which I don't consider to be Best Picture contenders, which I can see getting in here, like The Batman or Empire of Light. For the longest time, I didn't think Greg Fraser was gonna get a nomination for The Batman because it came out so early in the year, and he won this category last year, so would they feel the need to give him another nomination so soon? But yeah, he got the BAFTA nomination, so yeah, there's a good chance he could show up here. And legitimately, The Batman was one of the best looking movies of the year. Also, Roger Deakins got in at BAFTA for Empire of Light, but is that just because he's Roger Deakins and, BAFTA loves him there? He's been nominated so many times in the past decade. Well, are they going to feel the need to nominate him again for Empire of Light, which has kind of fizzled out of the discussion recently? I mean, he could do it. He's Roger Deakins. He's been on a hot streak recently. But then there's films like The Fabelmans and Banshees and Everything Everywhere and Avatar: The Way of Water and Babylon, all which have really good cinematography as well. What's really annoying me is that Elvis got in at BAFTA, and that's not a film that I think needs a cinematography nomination, but I think it's gonna get one. If Ben Davis manages to get in for Banshees, I think that would be awesome. It'd be kind of like when The Favourite got in for its cinematography, which was mostly lit by daylight, and the interior shots were done by like candlelight. That's a sort of similar thing with the Banshees. But I could also see an out there film like Blonde or Bardo getting in. Even though those films weren't critically celebrated, people pretty much unanimously agreed that the cinematography in them were good, so yeah, they could show up here. Ugh, this category is so damn hard to choose from this year. If I get even 2 out of 5 correct, I'm gonna be happy. Best editing. Top Gun Maverick and Everything Everywhere are getting in, no question. As for the last 3 slots, I'm being quite strategic with my picks because if you're gonna be a contender for Best Picture, then you typically need at least an editing nomination to go hand in hand with. Like, there's always exceptions to the rules, like Coda and Birdman both managed to win Best Picture without having an editing nomination. However, it's better to have it than not to have it. So that's why I've gone with Banshees of Inisherin and The Fabelmans getting in here, because I do see them as top 3 Best Picture contenders. So it makes sense that I would get editing nominations, even though neither film has like grand, flashy displays of editing. It's much more subtle, but the editing is what brings the films together. And as for the 5th slot, I do think it's going to go to a film with the most editing, the flashiest editing. So it's either going to be like Elvis, Decision to Leave, Avatar, or Babylon. But also, All Quiet on the Western Front did get an editing nomination at BAFTA, so might translate into an Oscar nomination as well. I really thought at the beginning of the year that Decision to Leave was a guarantee to make it in for Best Editing, but it just hasn't made it in anywhere, and as much as I would love to see it show up here, I don't know if I can afford to waste a prediction on Decision to Leave. It makes more sense to go for All Quiet on the Western Front because of how many BAFTA nominations it got. I'd rather see Decision to Leave get the nomination for editing, but yeah, I'm gonna go with All Quiet on the Western Front. But if Decision to Leave does get the editing nomination, I am gonna be furious with myself because it's an occasion where I've listened to statistics rather than listening to my gut. Makeup and hair, not much has changed here other than the fact that I've now got Elvis as my #1 pick, which is interesting because I do have Brendan Fraser winning Best Actor at the moment, and usually makeup and an acting performance go hand in hand. It's weird to split those two, but I might change my tune once I see who wins at the Hair and Makeup Guild ceremony. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that 5. Best visual effects, not much to say here. We've got the shortlist, so I've gone with Avatar: The Way of Water, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, The Batman, Top Gun: Maverick, and All Quiet on the Western Front. Best sound, not much to say here either, but now that we've got the shortlist, I've gone with Top Gun: Maverick, Avatar: The Way of Water, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, and begrudgingly Elvis. I would much rather see Everything Everywhere get in here over Elvis, but yeah, I think it is going to be Elvis. I'd like to see Babylon surprise and get in here, but yeah, someone had to miss the cut, so I put The Batman in over Babylon. Best score, I'm pretty happy with this 5. I'm still sticking with Justin Hurwitz as my winner for Babylon. I have had the soundtrack on for the last week or so. I freaking love it. Best song. Oh, what a difference a few precursors make. A few months ago, I was certain that Lady Gaga had the Oscar in the bag for her song Hold My Hand for Top Gun Maverick. Like, it just felt like a quintessential best original song winner you would see at the Academy Awards. It's very classic, very timeless, but Naatu Naatu from RRR has won both the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice Award, and I actually love this song. Like, after I watched RRR, this song, I've added it to my playlist, and I've been listening to it so much recently, and it's so catchy, so infectious, and I really, really love it. And it's just so much more of an exciting pick. It's unconventional compared to the conventional Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, okay? And Naatu Naatu excites me, and the fact that it's already won the precursors has made me change my tune. I do think Naatu Naatu is going to be the winner of Best Song at the Oscars. I can't wait to see them perform it as well. But yeah, like RRR has been sort of the runaway pop culture movie of the year. You know, it's crossed over into the mainstream. And while I don't think RRR like will get into Best Picture, I do think the Academy will want to honor it somewhere, and this is where they're going to give it its dues. It's going to get Best Song, and it is a great pick for Best Song. As for them other slots, yes to Hold My Hand, yes to Lift Me Up from Wakanda Forever, and yes to Ciao Papa from Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. As for the 5th spot, I know some of you Tay-Tay fans are really hoping she gets in for Carolina for Where the Crawdads Sing, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna go to Applause for Tell It Like a Woman, because it's written by Diane Warren, and she always shows up in this category. If she can show up last year for a movie that barely anybody watched or even heard of, For Good Days, then she can get in for another movie which I haven't really heard of this year. There is always a seat at the Oscars for Diane Warren. Best Animated Short. At the moment, I've gone for New Moon at the top because it's produced by Coleman Domingo, who at one point was actually considered as an early contender for Best Actor this year for the Oscars for his performance in Rustin. However, the film has been delayed, so yeah, that didn't happen. But yeah, I could see him maybe winning his first ever Oscar for like the animated short. A film that he made with his husband. How adorable is that? I still need to watch a lot of the shorts, not just in animated feature, but live action and documentary shorts. But for animated short, I've gone with The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse because it's an Apple original movie. Like, I feel I have good accessibility, as well as The Flying Sailor, An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and Ice Merchant. For documentary short, I've gone with 38 at the Garden, Noazami Bear, The Flag Maker, The Elephant Whisperer, and Holding Moses. Live action short, I've currently got Le Poupée at the top, the only reason being because Alfonso Cuarón produced it, so yeah, name recognition I feel will help it significantly. But I've also gone for Warsha, An Irish Goodbye, Ivalu, and The Red Suitcase. Best Animated Feature, not too much to say here. It's pretty much the same as the last time. I'm still predicting Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio to win, and then confident we'll see Turning Red, Marcel the Show with Shoes On, and Puss in Boots all get in here. The 5th spot, I've gone for Wendell and Wild. Yeah, that's just a gut feeling, so yeah, we'll see if that plays out. But who knows, we might see a surprise here, like Minions, The Rise of Gru, Strange World, Lightyear, or The Bad Guys. For best documentary feature, I'm sticking with the 5 I predicted for BAFTA because I got all 5 right, and I think we might see a repeat here. The one I'm mainly worried about is Moonage Daydream. That could be bumped off for Descendant, maybe. Best international feature, All Quiet on the Western Front is going to win this, but the other 4 slots I think will go to Decision to Leave, Close, Argentina 1985, and I've gone with Joyland. Best director. Oh, yeah, Best Director at the Oscars, I am actually a little bit nervous for. I am expecting there to be at least one surprise in this category. Best Director at the Oscars is determined by the director's branch, and they are really selective about who they let into their very exclusive, prestigious club. But what's interesting about this year is that we're probably going to be looking at mostly first-time nominees for directing. The last few years, the DGAs have been pretty reliable at telling us who we're going to see nominated at the Oscars. We usually get about 4 out of 5, usually. Out of the 5 nominees we got at the DGA, I think most people are expecting Joseph Kosinski to get snubbed out of those 5, but I don't know, Top Gun Maverick does have so much love, and you know, you can't have that good of a movie without good direction, so maybe Joseph Kosinski is like starting to peak at the right time and he does get in. But yes, Spielberg, the Daniels, Martin McDonagh, and Todd Field are the 4 that everyone feels are the most likely to show up here, but I'm a little bit nervous. I feel like one of them could get snubbed here. I want to say I feel pretty confident on the Daniels and Spielberg both getting in here for sure. And the logic behind that is because The Fabelmans and Everything Everywhere are Best Picture contenders, and you know, director nomination goes hand in hand. But then again, there's the same argument to be made about The Banshees for Mark McDonagh and even Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick. But with Mark McDonagh and Todd Field, they've never been nominated for a directing Oscar before. Mark McDonagh came pretty close with 3 Billboards, but that was a very stacked year, and somebody had to miss the cut, and sadly he did. And so I feel like he's more likely to get nominated here, but part of me still worries, like, did the Academy view him as sort of like an Aaron Sorkin type, you know, a really celebrated writer, but not quite there with the technical prowess yet, even though Banshees is very well directed. I think it's better directed than 3 Billboards, and I think he is deserving. Mark McDonagh should be in here. And then there's the thing with Todd Field as well, because yes, he's been nominated plenty of times at the Academy Awards, but never for directing. But now he's made so many great movies and he's so revered, it feels like it's time for Todd Field to get the nomination. So in theory, they both should be in here, Mark McDonagh and Todd Field, like they should, but there's still this nagging, gnawing, clawing little bit of doubt in me thinking that one of them might get snubbed because of the directors thinking, oh, he's more of a writer than he is a director. Let's acknowledge something flashier for directing, you know, something with a bit of oomph and a bit of, you know, style. So yeah, that's why I could see potentially one of those maybe missing here, but there's no reason to suggest that they won't get in. But so yes, while I still do have Mark McDonagh and Todd Field in my predictions, there's a chance one of them could be snubbed. And as for that 5th spot, oh yeah, it's tough. It's tough because, like, it's sad that we're probably gonna have a Best Director lineup this year with no women in it at all. Like, I was kind of hoping that maybe Charlotte Wells would show up here for Aftersun, but the fact that she didn't get the director nomination at BAFTA, where I thought she was kind of a shoo-in, it makes me feel less confident that she's going to, you know, get the nomination at the Oscars. I mean, for the longest time, I thought Sarah Polley was guaranteed a nomination for Best Director for Women Talking, but then that just didn't happen. It's probably not going to happen either. Like, it's a Hail Mary play now, thinking that Sarah Polley is going to get in this year. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to have any women, but it would be nice to see her show up. I mean, Gina Prince Bythewood did get the BAFTA nomination, but honestly, I don't see that translating into an Oscar nomination for her. But if it does happen, yeah, that'd be awesome. God. But yeah, the obvious candidate to take the 5th directing slot is now Edward Berger, because he got the nomination at BAFTA. And with the Oscars, the director's branch is really good at like getting at least one international director in for Best Director at the Oscars. And while I really wanted to see Park Chan-wook get his first ever director nomination at the Oscars for Decision to Leave, and I thought he was going to get it, Edward Berger feels like the more sensible and safer pick because of just how well All Quiet on the Western Front has done at BAFTA. So while I would rather see Park Chan-wook get the nomination, I'm predicting Edward Berger now. There's still like a slither of hope that Park Chan-wook could get the directing nomination. Maybe he's the person that bumps like Martin McDonagh or Todd Field out. But yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen. He hasn't placed in enough precursors to make me confident in thinking it will happen. Could SS Rajamouli get in for RRR? RRR didn't do all that great in the Oscar long list, so I'm not convinced it's gonna get into Best Picture, and if it's not getting into Best Picture, I have an even harder time believing it's gonna get into Best Director without that. But never say never, it would be awesome if he did show up here. It's also not inconceivable that someone like Damien Chazelle or James Cameron could show up here, because both their films were marvelous displays of technical direction. Like, they're the types of films that I can see directors really appreciating all the moving parts and elements that are going on to make the shots that they're making. But yeah, I do think that apart from Spielberg, I think we are going to be looking at a category where it's mostly first-time directing nominees. But like I said, I am expecting there to be a surprise here. If Daniels got snubbed, and knocking on wood there, I would be fuming. I mean, Denis Villeneuve got snubbed last year for his sci-fi epic Dune, so it's not out of the question that the Academy might not be as open-minded as we think and give the goofy kung fu sci-fi fantasy movie, you know, a nom for directing. They should be getting nominated. I just hope to God it happens, because we all know genre bias can be a big obstacle to overcome at the Oscars. Because we have seen in the past that they have gravitated more towards safe and conventional picks rather than avant-garde and unusual. But yes, I am expecting there to be some sort of surprise here. And last but not least, we have Best Picture. And just like Best Director, I really would love to see at least one female-directed movie make it into our Best Picture lineup. There's 10 slots, and I'm genuinely concerned that there's not going to be a single female-directed movie here. I think our best shot is probably with Aftersun, but Aftersun didn't get the BAFTA nomination for Best Film, so I'm not sure it can do it anymore. But yes, is there hope for Women Talking, or The Woman King, or She Said? I'm not so sure. As you can see, the ones that I've got predicted are all directed by men. The thing is with Best Picture, the best way to predict the films you're gonna see at the Oscars in Best Picture is to look at the Producers Guild Award nominations, because they both have 10 slots apiece and they share the most overlap with the Oscars, the Producers Guild Awards. So they're usually pretty good at giving us a good indication of who's gonna get nominated. It's usually somewhere between 7, 8, or 9 out of 10 that they get correct. Last year we had 8 from the Producers Guild Award matching with the Oscars. The Producers Guild Award went with Tick, Tick, Boom and Being the Ricardos, where the Oscars went with Nightmare Alley and Drive My Car. I've listed my predictions as most likely to least likely, and the top 3 are the 3 films which I think are genuinely vying to win Best Picture. So Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, and The Banshees of Inisherin. Then the next 3 I think are definitely gonna get into Best Picture, but have a less likely chance of winning. So Top Gun Maverick, Elvis, and Tar, I think, are all getting in, and it's not out of the question that they could win, but I don't think it's gonna happen for them. And then the last 4 slots are just going to films which will get into Best Picture but don't have a chance of winning. The nomination is enough for them. And I should say, my top 6 all got in at the Producers Guild Award. The remaining 4, the 4 that we got at the Producers Guild Award this year were The Whale, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Avatar: The Way of Water, and Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery. So we got a lot of big blockbuster franchisee sequels in the Producers Guild Awards this year. I'm not predicting to see a 10 out of 10 match with the Producers Guild Award this year. I think we're gonna probably get about 7 or 8. If the Academy is smart, then they should and will nominate Avatar: The Way of Water, because that movie is about to make $2 billion at the box office worldwide, okay? It is a movie that people have actually gone back to the cinema before. And if you want people to care about the Oscars, if you want people to watch the Oscars, then nominate some movies which people actually went to see, okay? The box office numbers speak for themselves with Avatar, okay? It might not be the most critically beloved film, like it's very mixed in terms of reviews for that movie, but people still went to see it and loads of people love it. And yes, it should get a nomination for Best Picture, and I do think it's going to get in. There's a little bit of doubt that it could miss, but I do think it's getting in here. So yeah, Avatar: The Way of Water I think is getting in. That leaves 3 slots available, and I think the least likeliest of the Producers Guild Award selections to get in at the Oscars is Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, because the first Knives Out film didn't get in at the Oscars, so a whodunit sequel on Netflix I think is unlikely to get in here. I just don't think the Academy's going to go for it, even though I would love to see it get in at the Oscars because Glass Onion was one of my favourite films of 2022. So while I would love to see it happen, I don't think it is going to happen. And the other film I don't see getting in is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, because the Academy doesn't really nominate superhero movies. The only MCU movie that has been nominated was Black Panther. But that movie was, it was a cultural milestone. It was really huge. And I just don't see the urgency for the Academy to nominate the sequel. I don't think they're going to do it. Even though Angela Bassett has a good chance of winning Best Supporting Actress, I don't think the Academy are going to acknowledge Black Panther: Wakanda Forever with a Best Picture nomination. It could happen, but I'm not feeling it's going to happen. So yeah, I think Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is out. As for The Whale, I actually think The Whale will get in. I've been saying ever since I saw The Whale at Venice that The Whale could be a Best Picture nominee, solely based off the strength of Brendan Fraser's performance, because the correlation between Best Actor performances and Best Picture nominees is really strong, okay? It's real. Not many people were predicting The Whale to be a Best Picture nominee until they saw it got in at PGA. And that's the thing with The Whale. Like, it had really good reactions at Venice. People were very excited about Brendan Fraser's performance, but then the backlash came. It was inevitable. It created more discourse. Some people really didn't like the film, and had a really bad marketing campaign as well. It had a bad patch. But the film is starting to show signs now of it gaining steam and momentum again, because the film is actually doing pretty well. Okay, this is a $3 million indie movie that's only really been released in America, and it's so far made over $11 million, which is really good considering it's a really low budget movie. You compare that to Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans, a Spielberg movie, which has only made $20 million worldwide, when The Whale has yet to be released internationally, that it's doing exceptionally well, okay? People are watching this movie, and they're also liking it as well. It might not be the most loved film critically, but audiences really like it. It has a 7.6 on Metacritic, it has a Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 90%, and it's an 8.0 on IMDb. So clearly, a lot of people really do like this movie. Just because critics don't like the film doesn't necessarily mean it can't get into Best Picture. Look at Bohemian Rhapsody. So yeah, I'm thinking The Whale is going to be the small indie movie that gets in, along with obviously Everything Everywhere All at Once, which had substantially greater success at the box office and critically as well. But yeah, I can see The Whale still getting in here because, again, of Brendan Fraser's performance and Hong Chau's performance as well, and I think people just like the movie. And The Whale is a bona fide success story at the cinema, like it or not, and I think the Academy will want to honour movies that we went to see at the cinema, that helped kickstart the cinema again. So yeah, I do think The Whale is going to get in. I'm giving the 9th spot to All Quiet on the Western Front because of the 14 BAFTA nominations. The 10th slot, however, is a free-for-all between Babylon, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Women Talking, Glass Onion, She Said, The Woman King, Decision to Leave, Triangle of Sadness, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, After Sun, and RRR. And honestly, it could go to any of them. My personal preference would be that they give it to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, but the Academy is very rarely kind to animated films, and it's funny, like Guillermo del Toro could get in last year for Nightmare Alley, even though I think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is substantially better than Nightmare Alley, and yeah, it's probably not going to get in. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong, Academy. I'd love to see After Sun show up here, and that could happen. Like, Paul Mescal is probably going to get into Best Actor, and again, the whole argument about Best Actor correlating with a Best Picture nomination can happen. But, I don't know, I feel like After Sun is a bit like this year's The Worst Person in the World. Like, it's beloved, it's got a really big, fan base, but it's just a little too small of a movie to fully get into Best Picture. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous that After Sun's not going to be in here. But again, yeah, Would be nice to see a female-directed movie in the Best Picture lineup. With women talking, I don't think it's happening. Yes, it got the SAG Ensemble nomination, but no nominations at BAFTA makes me feel like it just doesn't have any support, so no, I'm not predicting it. Which is so sad because a few months ago, I thought Women Talking was a lock for Best Picture. Decision to Leave, I thought for the longest time was going to be the international film that gets into Best Picture this year. But now I think it's All Quiet on the Western Front, and I just don't think it's gonna happen, even though Park Chan-wook did get the directing nom at BAFTA. Triangle of Sadness could surprise here. It has a lot of love from international voters, and it picked up a few BAFTA noms for Dolly de Leon, Screenplay, and Casting. And the fact that it's a Palme d'Or winner can't hurt its chances either. I would love to see happen. A word-of-mouth, Telugu, crossover hit, getting a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars. That would be some history-making stuff right there. Would love to see it happen, but again, I'm not feeling confident on it because of the lack of nominations it had in the shortlists. As for She Said, if the Academy wants to signal some virtue and give a giant middle finger to Harvey Weinstein, then maybe they would nominate She Said, which is the important hot topic issue film of the year. But the only place it showed up was AFI's movie of the year list, so I don't have much confidence in it. The Woman King landed on AFI and National Board of Review, and also got a Best Director nom at BAFTA. And it was a crowd pleaser that made money, but I don't think it's gonna translate into a Best Picture nomination, even though I think it would be great to see it there. It just hasn't had enough support from SAG or Golden Globe or Critics' Choice. So that's why I've decided to go with Babylon for my 10th slot. And here are the reasons why. First of all, it's a movie about Hollywood, which the Academy loves. It's like a little pat on the back for them to see movies about the industry that they work in. It's also got plenty of star power, so I can see actors nominating it for Best Picture. It's also the movie out of all these potential 10th slot contenders that is bound to get a lot of other Oscar nominations for production design, score, hair and makeup, costumes, maybe sound, maybe cinematography, okay? It really is a technical masterpiece, Babylon, whether you like it or not. And you can parlay a lot of, tech nominations into a Best Picture nomination as well. Like, it can happen. Its track record over this award season has been a bit hit or miss. Like, it got in a Golden Globe for Best Picture, and it got SAG Ensemble, which is important, but it didn't get any individual acting nominations at SAG. And same at BAFTA, didn't get into Best Picture, and no acting nominations either. But it still has potential to show up in the acting categories. I have Brad Pitt getting into Supporting Actor, and it's not out of the question that Margot Robbie or Diego Carver could show up in their respective categories. But if Babylon does manage to secure an acting nomination or an editing nomination or even a screenplay nomination, then I will feel confident it's gonna get called out, when they announce the Best Picture nominees. But if it doesn't get any of those, which I just mentioned, then yeah, it's probably not gonna get into Best Picture. What's holding Babylon back is the lack of a DJ nomination for Damien Chazelle, and is a bit of a divisive movie. It only got a 6.9 on Metacritic, and it's sitting at 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's actually a rotten rating, which means it would be one of the worst reviewed Best Picture nominees of all time if it does get in. But yeah, some people, like me, really loved Babylon, so it could be like a Don't Look Up or Nightmare Alley type of nomination. So yeah, I'm not confident on Babylon getting the Best Picture nomination, but based on all those extenuating circumstances and factors, I'm just going with my gut feeling. So yeah, it's a no guts, no glory prediction. So yeah, I'm giving Babylon the 10th slot. But yes, there we go, guys. We are done. Those are my final Oscar nomination predictions for 2023. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What crazy out there nominations are you predicting for this year's Oscar nominations? Put them in the comment section down below. We'll see who's bang on the money, who gets things right, who has really good gut instinct. Yeah, I really want to hear from you. What's the one crazy out there nomination that you think is going to happen, but nobody else is predicting? Yeah, whatever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys have enjoyed the video, help me out by hitting that like button. For more movie, TV, and Oscars-related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And if you want to follow me on any of my social media, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, it's all in that video description down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Carefield, and I'll see you next time.